Hello, everyone. I want to talk briefly today about the psychology and tactics of the pseudo MRA concern troll. One of the things that I notice with these people, if you take notice, the concern troll hates any generalizations that are made about women from men going their own way. But if you really look at how they behave and the exceptions they make to this, it becomes apparent that it's not actually generalizations about women that they hate. It's the unflattering ones that they have a problem with. You see, when it suits their agenda, they most certainly don't have a problem generalizing women. Let's take, for example, this oft-repeated generalization, which happens to be true in many respects. But you'll often hear them say that the men's rights movement needs women because women can get away with saying things that men can't without being called misogynist. And this is correct. Women do generally have much more leeway than men when they're saying these things. But one has to wonder, how did these individuals, these concern trolls, so allergic to generalizing women and gender at large, arrive at this conclusion? Well, it's simple, really. Generalizations that highlight good things about women are quite alright with these pseudo-MRA concern trolls. He or she has no problem looking how the genders interact, seeing that women viciously attack and shame men that call them out on their bullshit. He or she notices they immediately resort to ad hominem attacks and says that he just can't get laid, or that he's bitter, or that he's angry, etc. So they do, in fact, notice the litany of insults and deflections used against men by a non-trivial and I dare say even majority of women when dealing with these arguments. You see, the concern troll observes that. They make that generalization and they depend on that generalization to make use of a female MRA to bypass those attacks. And that's the hypocrisy of it all, you see. Deep down, these concern trolls know that these generalizations actually have credibility and merit behind them, but only chooses to acknowledge them when it flatters women and makes it seem as though women have this special ability that men don't have. And this is a failing strategy on so many levels that it's hard to decide where to start. But for one, the pseudo-MRA concern troll props up the impunity that a female MRA enjoys as being indispensable to a men's rights movement without mentioning the fact that the only reason she enjoys that impunity are reasons surrounding contributing factors to feminist power and gynocentrism. Now, I'm not saying that there aren't some female MRAs that make credible, intelligent contributions to the men's movement. I'm saying that going out of your way to prop up female MRAs to show the blue pill masses, that look, we have women on our side too, that can actually help to reinforce the cultural attitudes that allow feminism and misandry to persist. You see, when we start seeing female MRAs receive the same scrutiny as male MRAs, when we start seeing blatant attention whores who don't put out quality videos and think being a female MRA consists of nothing more than just saying, I'm not a feminist, and then repeating verbatim something Barbarossa or Man-Woman Myth or Stardust or Girl Writes What said years ago. When women like that stop getting unearned praise and subscriptions and attention in the manosphere, then we'll know we're truly making progress. Until then, we're at best only slightly better than our pussy-groveling blue pill counterparts. Now, I still remember the whole Woolly Bumblebee fiasco, bitching on and on about men going their own way and how bitter and mean and abrasive we are, and blah, blah, blah. Over and over, you heard this insufferable twit bitching about radicals and Barbarossa and Stardust. And one of the things that she did was to hide behind her little Earl Silverman Center project, propping herself up on that to look like she was the great doer of the men's rights movement. Behold, this is a woman of action. And how dare those evil men going their own way generalize the poor women in men's rights circles. Fast forward to present day, and what did we actually see happen? No Earl Silverman Center in sight. She seems to have just pocketed over $6,000 she collected expressly for the Earl Silverman Center, and essentially has cut all ties with the men's movement altogether. And the sniveling, pseudo-MRA manginas that were supporting her, bashing men going their own way, they're now all pretending that they didn't support her in the first place, and waiting quietly for the next attention whore to come along, just so they can show their little blue pill massa what a good little MRA house slave they are, and just how willing they are to throw men going their own way under the bus just for a dollop of approval from the very people who call MRAs misogynist every chance they get anyway. It's bootlicking of the highest order. And what these people really want to do is to take, for example, the YouTube manosphere community and bitch and nag and complain until it resembles something like the men's rights Reddit, which, if you've been paying attention, has become the most deballed, co-opted, and censored places in the manosphere, where so-called egalitarians want to tell us men, after 50 years of sustained attack, before which we were beasts of burden for the very women and feminists currently attacking men, they see fit to tell us that we should cooperate with feminists now. You know, that why are we so angry? And two wrongs don't make a right, of course. And all of this horseshit pisses me off to no end. Two wrongs don't make a right. Really? That's bullshit. If someone slaps you across the face, you kick their teeth in. If someone punches you in the face, you beat them unconscious. If someone pulls a knife on you, you pull out a gun and you kill them. These are examples. These are all examples of how aggressing harder against an aggressor stops the aggression. And it is indisputable at this point that the state, women, feminists, and their mangina politicians and tradcon chivalrists aggress against men first. Now that we're aggressing back, non-violently, mind you, a luxury which you can't say for the entities that attacked us in the first place. But yeah, now that men are starting to aggress back by talking amongst themselves about women, about these fake-ass politicians, about your daddy government. Now you want us to sing We Are the World and kiss and make up. Where were you 2 or 3 or 4 or even 5 decades ago? Where were you and your mothers telling feminists that two wrongs don't make a right? Where were you? You said nothing. You did nothing. Now men are doing something about it, and these concern troll twits come clucking onto men going their own way channels, even though we've clearly said numerous times that we ally with MRAs, but we're not MRAs. But even still, these insufferable parakeets come onto men going their own way spaces, clucking what has to be manufactured on an industrial scale in some cookie-cutter warehouse somewhere. They come clucking the same old recycled, reused garbage that we've heard a million times before, capped in a neat little bow tie with your generic appeal to sing kumbaya now and hold hands and we are the world. It's not going to fly this time. It's not going to fly this time. Go to Men's Rights Reddit, where you can have some castrated fake MRA tell you how wonderful you are simply for having a uterus and uttering the phrase, you don't like feminism. Go to the drying up tradcon portion of the manosphere with that bullshit. Go to the cult of Defeat the Left, where they earn 10 subscribers a week because people are tired of hearing repackaged Glenn Beck excerpts. Go let them shower you with attention because you're a housewife or whatever. Which, by the way, in manspeak, translates to you being an unemployed bum. You don't get any reward for that. Go get rewarded over there simply for having a vagina by pathetic, groveling sycophants pretending to be MRAs elsewhere. Go do that elsewhere, because over here, darling, you will receive no such treatment. You will learn to respect male authority here. And I'm not talking about your fallacious, traditionalist, you pay my bills and I'll pretend to defer to your authority, oh great provider and protector. I'm talking about men are talking, so sit down and shut up and observe. Observe when men are talking. And after that, make yourself useful and go tell women what they're doing wrong instead of lecturing us on our tone. Yeah, as a matter of fact, it's better to, I think it's better to ridicule these people, these little concerned trolls. Let's just make a game out of it. Let's make a point system out of it. Pissing off, used up, over the hill, we are the world concerned trolled women with YouTube accounts currently running the MRA attention whore circuit, that's 100 points. Getting those women to break down and renounce the men's movement altogether and you know, go back to the atheism community trailing concentrated liquid butthurt all the way back, that's 500 points. Getting mangina MRAs to agree with them and drone on and on about how we men going their own way are just like the feminists, after which they run to their insignificant little blog to see which one of them can white knight the hardest. That's 1,000 points. And last but not least, gentlemen, getting both left-wing egalitarian MRAs and right-wing defeat the left retards to cooperate and launch attacks against men going their own way when they're supposedly so different from each other and so diametrically opposed. That's the big score, gentlemen, for a clean 2,500 points. Now, with all that said, I generally, I'm being sarcastic here, but in all seriousness, I don't want actual hard-working MRAs doing good work to think I'm attacking them, because I'm not. But I will define specifically right here and now, just so there's no mix-up over this, what an MRA is or isn't to me, and which MRAs I'm willing to work with and put my full support behind. Now, if you spend more time functioning as a member of a Manospherian thought police committee, consistently bitching and moaning about what some MRA or men going their own way said somewhere, because you think that might ruffle the feathers of women listening in, you're not an MRA. You're a female sensibilities advocate. Your main concern is not to further the rights of men, the rights that have been deprived largely through women pulling levers in voting booths on a massive scale. Your main concern is to make sure women feel safe and good about themselves throughout this entire process of male emancipation and liberation. You're here to make sure that none of us get too uppity. You're here to make sure that men don't cry out in rage too loudly because it might scare women, you disgusting, pathetic, stiletto-licking invertebrate. However, if you spend the majority of your time actually trying to get laws changed as an MRA, well, then I embrace you, and I welcome you, and I consider you a comrade in arms, helping to fight a nonviolent cultural and legal war that men at large did not start. And in whatever ways men going their own way and MRAs can work together, I'm happy to help, as long as you respect the differences in approach and strategy that we have. And, you know, frankly, one of the reasons that I made it clear that I'm MRA friendly, but not an actual MRA, is because I thrive in a 100% freedom of expression environment. MRAs have to be a bit more measured with what they say, and this is completely normal and fine, considering that they're operating in the political sphere. But these charlatans, devoting what seems to be their entire existence towards censoring men going their own way, are not only going to fail, but they're going to end up having the exact opposite effect. This is one of the many reasons why men going their own way is growing pretty much exponentially. This is why men going their own way is so popular. The more you squeeze us, the more popular we will become. The more you squeeze us, the more you try to censor us, the more we're going to grow. I remember when this whole, left-right nonsense started popping off, and people started calling us radicals and misogynists and leftists and nihilists and all that. When all that first started, if you'll notice, I was trailing some of these people. My channel was, I'll say, relatively new, but about the same age as all these people making these accusations. But I was trailing some of these people by 2,000, 3,000 subscribers. Then they started all this, and I started saying, you know what, fuck trying to sound nice to these people, and fuck this ridiculous left-right nonsense that hasn't actually achieved anything for men or rectified any of the legal injustices we face. Fuck all this. I'm going to go deeper, and I'm going to see how far the rabbit hole descends. And here we are today, and the situation as it stands now is that I've exceeded these people now by thousands of subscribers, one of the fastest growing channels. And of course, Stardust came along, and he's growing just as fast. So squeeze us all you want. Squeeze us all you want. You're going to have the exact opposite effect. I welcome it. I welcome it. Anyway, that's all I got to say for now. Thanks for listening.